Oh, hello everybody, good evening, I'm Cosmic Claire, and welcome to another one of my somewhat intermittent evening video blogs, as they are at the moment. It kind of comes into it again because obviously I've been a bit tired lately and not had the energy and focus to always get in front of the camera in the evening like this. And I was just reflecting on this today and thinking, well, obviously there are various kind of influences here, and it's sometimes, like I said previously, you have to kind of admit your humanity before the state of things, whether it be the state of the world or the state of the way you're feeling, because there's so much going on that has so much negativity sent out from it, and the way that it's addressed to the people to wear us down, and it's really important not to, and there are lots of different ways of kind of not doing that, but so there's a kind of this is the kind of time of year when the energies get low. For those not in Leeds or Yorkshire, we're just being snowed in again tonight. So the winter is going to be carrying on a little bit longer than we had hoped for. We had a little bit of respite for a few days. But we must forge on, because the subject I wanted to talk about tonight was we live in a world without honour, and it's just such a difference in values. I've been immersing myself in a lot of stuff like Tolkien, which is kind of like mythic values, I suppose, and they don't have to be lost because we live in a technological society yet. The social engineers have manoeuvred us into a place where bureaucracy manipulates utilitarianism to the enslavement of everybody, and it's often invisible to people who have to spend their lives keeping things together, paying the mortgage and such like, and we all have to do that or similar things like that to kind of interface and handle the world, and it doesn't give much time for reflection on what's really going on underneath the surface, and the values and motivations behind the society that we find ourselves in, where the government can make argument to impoverish the weakest in society, and make war, and allow a lot more covert things to go on. There are so many things, I believe, that are going on that are either ignored or misinformationified, or dismissed as a conspiracy theory, that it's kind of, as J. Edgar Hoover said, that the individual is handicapped by the size of the extensive conspiracy that's going on behind every front and behind every scene in society. If these things could go on in the Middle Ages, then they can go on now, quadrupled and sextupled and many times more. Shakespeare looks into the heart of people like this, and that was a great wisdom, to see the darknesses that is in people and the motivations that are behind machinations. I think the timing is probably right for Shakespeare, whoever it was, Bacon or one of the others, or the committee. I'm sure whoever it was had a squint at Machiavelli. I think they've got the time scale right there. Because the main problem we have really at the moment is people not being willing to believe that there is a coordinated exploitation, a coordinated manipulation of all the different policies which are herding us like corralled cattle into a narrower and narrower confine of freedom. And I'm not talking in terms of I'm not talking in terms of economic consumer freedom, but the freedom to move around and not be surveyed and entrapped and followed and have files made about you and be watched on CCTV cameras. And while the people who do these things have no oversight from the likes of us, we are all watched on the streets because we are potentially dangerous and unlaw-abiding lawbreakers, and yet we don't know what goes on behind the scenes at Number 10 and other places, do we? And these are much deeper things in the shadows than private cabinet meetings. The motivation behind all this, obviously, is to keep the power in the hands of those who still have it, and those who have had it for a long time, and to deceive people into thinking that well, the economic situation is out of our control, we're doing the best we can and all this kind of stuff, while people are being further and further economically dispossessed. I suppose the awareness of this it tires me out, I think, a little bit sometimes, and I suppose it tires out a lot of people who tune into this kind of stuff. So I think sometimes the only thing you can do is take a step back. It can be very, 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 very demanding, shall we say, to cope with some of these energies. And I've had a particular little bit of negative energy from some people I know around here, who seem to think that I need taking down a peg simply for being an individual. But unfortunately, I can't do that. I think one of the things that's really important is that people often feel that they don't have a voice, that no one will listen to them, and this is something I've become aware of. I remember meeting people at the Commonplace, or the Wharf Chambers as it is now, down Kirkgate near the market, and really being overwhelmed by the stuff that one of them had to say once about her feelings of disempowerment. And obviously it's really important to remember there are kind of ways to become empowered, and attitudes to take, and steps to take, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's quite chilling to realise that those people, those social engineers behind the scenes who keep this show all going the way it is comfortably for them, actually want a vast majority of the population to be in that state of self-disempowerment and disbelief. It reminds me of that thing somebody posted to my Facebook about how something about you should saying what you say, not to try and convince people, but so that your friends who think alike, or have other similar types of feelings, know that they're not alone. And I think this is one of the catalyst things about the whole kind of awakening movement, is that if everybody knew that they were all part of the same thing, then everybody would turn together at the same time, and it would all change. But instead, everybody thinks they're alone. It's all divide and conquer, isn't it? Everybody thinks they're alone. They think, oh, well, there's just me, or possibly there's me and my friends, but, what's us? Or there's those kind of, people on the Occupy camp or something like that, but, I'm not sure whether there's enough of them for it to be worthwhile me joining them, because, and I suppose one of the so that's one of the reasons about this video, to just connect with other people who see the world being dishonourable and lying and cheating and having no integrity or moral values other than financial gain, or popularity, or utilitarian benefit for some at the expense of others, and often people find that they always seem to be in the others. Oh yeah, why are certain people never getting the benefited classes? Because the benefited classes often, particularly the I don't mind things to be good for people. I mean, we all want to be, comfortable and not poor, and it would be so much easier. It's not about rejecting middle class values or whatever. It's about seeing through the entire facade of the power structure that goes on behind all this. So when when people feel down, often it's the case that it's because they're feeling divided or separated from the true humanity and honour of the world that they're aspiring to. It reminds me a little bit of something that a line out of Shadowlands, where C.S. Lewis talks to this pupil who's not a very good pupil. He's not very academic, but he has some good insights. And C.S. Lewis says to him, "Why do you read?" And he says, "I read to know that I'm not alone." And I think, I guess this is kind of what these videos are around about, in a different kind of way, both for me and some of the people who watch them, because the society has become a machine to serve the controllers at the top and be serviced by the people who are becoming the cogs. And so it's just good to remind ourselves we are not that. If we all decided to change just small things all at the same time, this whole facade would probably come falling down. I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, build up that morphic field of people who are looking for a world with more honour. Okay, well, maybe I've rambled a little bit this evening, but I hope I've got somewhere with it. So let's work for a more honourable world, folks, and the best way to start that is to make sure that we're always honourable ourselves. Okay, so good evening, everybody, and thank you for watching in Lakesh. It's just such a difference in values. I've been immersing myself in a lot of stuff like Tolkien, which is kind of like mythic values, I suppose, and they don't have to be lost because we live in a technological society. I was just reflecting on this today and thinking, well, obviously there are various kind of influences here, and it sometimes, well, like I said previously, you have to kind of admit your humanity before the state of things, whether it be the state of the world or the state of the way you're feeling, because there's so much going on that has so much negativity sent out from it, and or the way that it's addressed to the people to wear us down, and it's really important not to, and there are lots of different ways of kind of not doing that, but so there's a kind of this is the kind of time of year when the energies get low. For those not in Leeds or... Oh, hello everybody, good evening, I'm Cosmic Claire, and welcome to another one of my somewhat intermittent evening video blogs, as they are at the moment. It kind of comes into it again because obviously I've been a bit tired lately and not had the energy and focus to always get in front of the camera in the evening like this. And Yorkshire, we're just being snowed in again tonight. So the winter is going to be carrying on a little bit longer than we had hoped for. We had a little bit of respite for a few days. but we must forge on, because well, the subject I wanted to talk about tonight was we live in a world without honour, and